light behind me annoying?
No, it's comforting.
Comforting. Well, how about my knitting?
That's great.
Even better.
You're made for Zooming.
Well, I don't know what to make of that.
Yeah, no, you're all set up for it.
How are you, Scotty?
Just an early point of business. Hannah, can we start these at say 2:55 so that we can all log in for the 3 o'clock start?
I will definitely have to check with Erica. I do believe they go on the hour. Meeting slots go on the hour.
Okay, don't cause yourself any problems.
No, not at all. But I will definitely double check with her.
Okay.
We can convene at 3:05 so that we have a little time to say hello to each other, right?
I know part of the problem, I think, is that, you know, you sit here and I'm waiting and I'm saying, wait a minute, what haven't I pushed? You know, I'm back and forth. So, okay, I see it. I see it's 3 o'clock, and I'll call the meeting of the Cemetery Commission to order for Thursday, September 10th.
I don't see Fran. Yes, she's here.
I'm here. You don't see me. Why is that? Here I am.
Bottom left, Fran.
Let me see. Start video over again.
Yeah, there you go. Push.
There we go.
There you go.
We got it.
I had to do the same thing. So, okay, so we are in session.
Do we have any public participants?
That's what I was just going to.
By looking at the participant list.
I don't see any public comment. So, I'll declare no public comment. Approval of minutes from August 11th. Those were circulated after our last meeting. We did meet on that Tuesday, the 11th, instead of Wednesday, whatever the next day was.
Yeah, it's usually +1, Alan.
I'm sorry. I request a motion to approve the minutes. Did I hear a motion? Oh, okay, Scotty, gotcha. Second. And Fran, second. Good. Any discussion on the motion minutes? Again, I just want to say they're excellent minutes, Lee. Thank you.
Well, you're most welcome. Appreciate it.
All in favor of approval? Aye.
No, we got to do it by roll call.
Oh, roll call. Okay. Scotty?
Aye.
Lee?
Aye.
Barbara?
Aye.
Fran?
Hi.
And chair votes aye.
Thank you all.
Okay. I'm sorry. Potential arbor for the historic colored cemetery from the Vesper side. We have a quote from Scotty, right, for the two stones. And Scotty, were you going to get a wooden one too, a quote for a wooden one?
So I did a drive-by and took a photo of the Fair Street entrance and arbor. It looks like that. Okay.
I have one of those too. I just did that.
Yeah. So if you look at those posts,
Yep.
They're quite big. They're about 12 inches by 12 inches,
Right.
which is bigger than what we normally use as a post, but this is like the entrance to a park. And that was part of the specs for the architect. To do something like that is in roughly around $1,500 each post. But I thought that we could do something like the same design intent with the same look, but the post not as big. So basically the post being about 10 inches wide and about 8 inches thick. And we could still do the steel, the iron coming out of the top.
Mm-hmm.
To do this arrangement, each post is $650. And it would be $500 to install both of them. So what's that, 1,700 to do the post. But then the steel work is different. And we probably have to contact Ron Lee to figure that out. But I thought that would be a good idea.
Right.
Because I feel even just for the space that the Fair Street size posts are quite large
No, I agree with you.
entrance.
Yeah, I agree. I was just in town and took that picture myself, and they are way too big, I think, for what we're looking for. So you're saying a 10 by 8 post,
Yeah, 10 inches wide, 8-inch deep.
right? So we would do 2 posts installed for, say, $1,700
$1,700 for the granite.
And
for
they're
the
4
granite,
feet,
right?
they're 4 feet tall.
And they'd be 4 feet out of the ground, but they're 6-foot posts, 2
Right.
feet in the ground.
Exactly.
Then the next question would be what style of post?
Right.
And then this is like a more of a formal look,
Mm-hmm.
okay, like they have in Fair Street.
Yeah.
And then this is a more natural look,
Right.
where it just has a natural face. We would cut the top square.
Scott, something that's frozen on my machine.
Yep. Can you see it, Lee?
I can see your image, which isn't moving.
Okay, that's fine. How about now?
No, it's probably my machine.
Yeah,
Okay.
we can see him moving.
All
He's
right.
very
So it's
alive.
basically the decision
doesn't-
between an antique or a natural granite or a formal granite. But even with the formal look, we'd have it rocked on the side, so it's kind of natural feeling as well. So we can't lose what we choose. On either way, it will be nice if we decide to go that way. Another mission of mine was to find out how much a cedar arbor would be. And just on calling Marine and Island, the cedar arbors are anywhere from $1,800 to $2,400, depending on the width. I think the 1,800 was for a 3-foot wide one. So that's what we're comparing it against. Basically, 2 posts, granite posts installed for 17 plus the steel, or a cedar arbor between 18 and 2,400 plus the installation. So if it's easier, I can email everyone the summary, but if we want to make a decision today, that's the information.
Okay, great. Thank you, Scotty. That's.
I've got a question for Scott.
Yep.
You don't have to re-show.
Sorry, mate. Is that me or is that Lee?
You're still frozen, but it's okay.
How about now?
So go back to the Fair Street picture. Oh, hallelujah, everybody's back. It's
Yeah.
my computer. It's
It's
not
your
it's not you
computer, I
guys.
think, Lee.
Okay,
And he's gone.
all right. Rust stains coming out of where
Oh,
the
you
iron
did that?
goes
Yeah.
into. Yep.
Mhm.
Can that be prevented by simple coatings, paints, grease, or do we need to do it in cast iron, which is difficult to work with?
Cast iron, or you can use stainless steel rod, but that might be quite expensive.
Yeah.
If you chose an antique granite, natural granite, a lot of those have that kind of same patina on them, like this kind of a look. You can't see it clearly, but it does have similar colorings within the granite from just being old. I don't know. That's probably something that you would have to upkeep with painting, or we live with the stains that would come down the sides due to the steel.
So in anticipation of a vote, I like the idea of natural granite.
Okay, yeah, let's discuss this first. Fran?
Yeah, my assignment was to talk to Isabel Carter Stewart while she was here. So I did, and she forwarded my query to her son, Carter Stewart, who is currently a trustee of the NHA. And his response was, personally, I don't think we need arches over entrances, but it would be great to have as much greenery foliage near the helipad as possible so it doesn't look so barren. I would also be in favor of a vertical marker to the cemetery visible from Vesper Lane. So that's from Carter Stewart.
Okay. Good. Barbara, how about you? What do you think?
I was just wondering, as I'm just sitting here looking, I agree. I like the natural look of the granite. What if we just had posts and no arch? Just
That's what we were talking about originally.
right. And I wasn't at the last meeting, so
So,
you know,
oh, sorry.
I mean, we don't necessarily need an arch, and if it's going to have stains on it from the
Right.
whatever oxidation, whatever it is.
Right. So let's see. Scotty, you want to chime in, or
Do you think that if we had posts and natural posts that we could engrave historic colored cemetery down one or the other, or is that necessary? And
That's an interesting idea. I was wondering
if we
about-
decide that, though, do we have to go for approval and everything again?
Okay, here.
When we first put the plaque on the boulder within the cemetery, there was concern about if we named the cemetery in an outward way to the public, it might invite vandalism. And so we didn't want a sign out on the street that said historic colored cemetery, it just says historic cemetery. And you don't learn the name of the cemetery until you're inside it.
Yeah.
So that might still be a consideration.
So Fran, I hear you. I was going to suggest a small Nantucket style sign that simply says historic cemetery on the street.
Yeah, right.
Oh, we have those already. We can always add another one.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
we have them.
Right.
But wherever a cemetery isn't visible from the street, we've put a historic cemetery sign for the Founders Cemetery, up on Prospect Street for the Colored Cemetery. And we've talked about doing one for the Quays Cemetery. But actually the cemetery is visible from Vesper Lane. But you know, I think that there might be some wisdom to put in a historic cemetery sign over on that side.
Right. So if I let me interject here, I like the idea of granite mainly for the maintenance. Anything wooden we put up there is going to ultimately require maintenance.
Right.
The granite, I don't think so. As far as the metal on the top, I'm not sure that that's really necessary as far as an arch. What we're trying to do is distinguish, so people driving by can see that there looks like an entrance, and there will be some new fencing this fall around the cemetery at Historic Colored.
On that side where there isn't any fencing right now.
Yeah, exactly. My thought would be to do the granite, the 2 granite posts, do the 8x10 posts. I prefer the rustic look, or is that the right word? Antique or whatever.
Natural, I thought is what Scotty was saying.
Yeah.
Scott's the authority.
Yeah, exactly. I sort of like, I sort of like the that rustic look where it's sort of lumpy and looks like it.
It's in.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah, because this might be a little cliff road,
Yeah, right, exactly. Fran?
My original concern about putting an arch over it was to make it clearly an entrance.
Mm-hmm.
But in fact, if we get fence on that side, and then there's 2 posts,
Right.
that makes it an entrance. And
Right.
we don't need to add anything to it to say this is an entrance. So I'm on board with not putting an arch.
Okay. And in terms of putting the historic cemetery sign, The reason, of course, we did historic cemetery sign is because we have one at Founders, we have one at North Mill Street, and eventually we're going to have one at historic Quays. Once we get the stone up, maybe, you know, we'll have that one in there. And the reason was to, you know, we felt it was unnecessary to keep renaming the cemetery out on the road and then on the, you know, with the stone we have in the cemetery with the name on it. So given the fact that the price is pretty close to, in fact, I would say the stones, which are a lot more permanent and more attractive, I think, than a wooden arbor after 10 years of, you know, needing whatever covering it needs, that would be the way to go. Any other thoughts in terms of?
Alan, this is Lee.
Yes.
Without bringing up my medical condition, I sit in a room on the second floor of the hospital, and I can't see, and I can see the land bank land clearly. I watch people walking their dogs and so forth, but I can't see the entrance because the vegetation is so thick. So as part of the fencing, how much of that vegetation do they want to remove? Just enough for our posts or all the way along? Because it's probably on land bank land.
The fencing is on, now we're talking about the side facing Vesper Lane.
No, Vesper Lane.
Yeah, that's on cemetery property. The fence would be on cemetery property there. The vegetation against the hospital,
No, Alan, along that same boundary, wherever they're going to put the fence, there's a line of vegetation, shrubbery and weeds and whatever.
Yes, exactly. And my understanding is that anyway, when they install the fence on that side, it will be on cemetery property, as will our posts. The posts have to be on cemetery property as well. As far as the vegetation, gee, you know, it's funny. I was just up there and I don't recall.
You won't be able to see the posts from the road with the current level of vegetation.
Well, we'll take care of that. We'll, you know, either if it's on land bank property, we'll take care of it. If it's on cemetery property, we'll take care of it as well. So, yeah, the vegetation, at least around whatever, you know, with the entrance that we're going to put there, we'll clear the vegetation because that'll all be on cemetery property. And if, as I say, if there is vegetation on land bank property obstructing it, we'll have, I'm sure the land bank would be cooperative in removing that vegetation.
Great. So Alan, if you need a motion, I move that we engage Patterson and Scott MacGyver to install the two naturally placed posts as proposed.
Great. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
Great.
That was Barbara Lee.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have
I'm
a
going to
motion.
pay for it.
Well, okay, that's the next step.
Second.
Yeah, no. I checked with Rob O'Neill. In fact, I spoke with him again this morning, and I asked him specifically about the, you know, do we have the money available that we can draw on for first the stone at Quays, and then I asked about the posts at Historic Colored, and he said yes. The answer was we do have access to those funds. And again, my concern is because I have no idea how that all works. But so anyway, Rob assured me we do have the funds. He mentioned something about $10,000 and so on, which would include both those projects, correct?
Mm-hmm.
It would appear to.
Hmm?
Yeah, the headstone's 7 and the posts are 17.
Oh, right. Okay. Right. Oh, so we've got plenty of money there. Okay. All right. So we have the funds available. At least, so any further discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor, and I'll call the roll. Scotty,
All right.
Lee,
Aye.
Barbara,
Aye.
Fran,
Aye.
and chair votes aye. Okay, so there we go, Scotty. Now you'll you'll connect with Rob. No, as far as the payment of it, because
So from what I understand, I would create a proposal estimate, send it to
Correct.
Rob, and he
Correct.
would appropriate the money or whatever he does to
exactly.
get the money. Okay.
Okay.
And then we will just have it scheduled to do.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. Then yeah. At your now, in terms of the color of the granite, is it all gray, or are there other?
It's gray. It's gray.
It's gray. Okay.
It's all gray. Yep.
Scott, I think I asked you about this before. It's coming from Barry.
This granite does not come from Barrie. It comes from Connecticut, Massachusetts border, somewhere around there. The
Okay.
natural granite that is used for these posts.
Good, it's a
Okay.
nice local stone. By the way, have you ever seen Missouri granite?
I probably have, but I don't know. I wouldn't know it to say it.
You would when you saw it, it's reddish.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's got a lot of plagioclase rather than orthoclase. Orthoclase is a feldspar that's white, and plagioclase is a feldspar that's pink.
So the reason I asked the question is I know that in Founders Burial Ground we did the rose granite, I think, for the other posts. So okay, yes, Fran.
Mary Malaves didn't join us today, and we were to talk with her about the donation from the garden club for the daffodils.
Yes.
Oh, yes. Okay. I have that on my under comments. But okay. Yeah, no, let's raise that now. As you're aware, we did receive a donation from the garden club. There were two contingencies. One, they had to be approved. So I made a copy of the documents, signed them as chair, and return them to Hannah. So I think Hannah has those.
Yes.
And the other requirement is that Mary wanted to be involved with the selection, I believe, of of what type of bulbs and so on. And I felt that was certainly agreeable. I mean, so I guess the next step, because we want to get those in the ground this fall,
Yes.
would be to contact Mary and see what her schedule is in terms of ordering the bulbs and that sort of thing. Hannah, do you have any insight as to how that would work as far as handling the ordering the bulbs?
Yes. Well, not necessarily on how the bulb ordering would happen yet, though I did reach out to Mary and I did not receive a response inviting her to the meeting today to discuss the bulbs.
Right.
Though when I did discuss with her early on, following up with our application or with the, Cemetery Commission's application process, she said that it doesn't have to be an overly formal situation, that she would just like to be involved in really what the commission decides, and then if she thinks anything else, then she'll give a suggestion.
Okay. One thing we have to figure out is how we're going to get them in the ground. We had a volunteer corps last year, and we did 100 bulbs in a matter of half an hour, 45 minutes, something like that. So I suppose we could do something like that. Now, if we have $1,000 worth of bulbs, I have no idea how many bulbs that is. So So,
Hannah, can I ask a question?
sure.
I'm not sure. Are we ordering the bulbs? Or, I mean, because I would love it if Mary chose the bulbs. She's such an expert, and it'd be lovely for her to have different colors. And she's, you can't get more knowledgeable than Mary.
Absolutely.
So are we in charge of picking them from a catalog, or will she do that for us?
She can definitely help. I do know that Fran had done some research on some bulbs that she was interested in and sent that over to me. So really, I guess, going over the information that Fran has pulled up and listening to what Mary has in suggestion to that.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Okay.
Pardon, I'm back. The last two plantings that we did at the Founders Burial Ground, we ordered from White Flower Farm.
Right.
And it was $65 for 100 bulbs. So obviously, if we ordered that, we could get an awful lot of bulbs.
Yeah.
I really like the idea, though, of getting Mary's input and putting in, some of the specialty bulbs, like some of the salmon colored ones. I mean, if we got $1,000, we don't have to go the cheapest naturalizing ones.
This is not the landscapers naturalizing ones. The ones we bought are high quality White Flower Farm mixed, which are widest possible range of colors, forms, and bloom times, with various ones. The works is ideal for creating large naturalized grouping of mixed varieties.
Okay.
I thought what we planted last year was pretty good.
Yeah. I think what we should do, Hannah, when you speak to Mary, tell her that we're open to any suggestions she has as to where we should order the bulbs, if she wants to pick out certain types of bulbs, that sort of thing. We would certainly welcome her input. Just let her know that we want to get them in the ground this fall, so we can,
Yes, she was very, I don't know, eager when I spoke to her last about getting them in the ground.
Oh, good. Okay. So then I think if we can engage her in as far as the selection, where to get them, and that sort of thing, that would be great. And then we'll once we know approximately how many, I guess we're going to have let's say probably 700 or 800 bulbs. It sounds like.
You might not do it all in one day.
No.
Maybe more than that.
I do also want to add one more thing. The donation has been received by the Nantucket Garden Club, though it does need to go through the select board processing before we're able to spend any amount of it.
Oh.
I know Rob is working on that.
Good. Okay. Well, that's good to know because, as I say, we want to get them in the ground before November sometimes.
Can I just ask, is that something that we can spend the money and be reimbursed, or DPW can?
Scott, I'm going to have to follow up with Rob on that. I'm not entirely sure. I would say probably not.
Okay.
Because we want to make sure that it is approved through the select board before we do anything, because if by any chance they deny, then that wouldn't be such a great situation.
Alan, this is Lee. Hannah's giving you good advice. We've both sat in on select board meetings, and we know that gifts are dealt with right at the beginning of the agenda, and I haven't seen a gift refused. So let's go through the formal channel and be clean to process, or clean to proceed.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think we definitely need to go through channels, and that's between having Mary Melvase and Rob and whatever overseeing this along with Hannah. As long as everyone knows that we're trying to get the bulbs in the ground by November, that that should
There's one,
Grease the skids, let's put it that
there's
way.
one thing we have to consider, and that is if we wait, bulbs might not be available. This is the time when people who haven't ordered them already are ordering them, and
Yeah,
they can
exactly.
run out.
Exactly.
So we don't want this to take long. Can we set some kind of timetable for how this is going to go?
Right, I understand that, and I think again, that's maybe where Mary Mellevace can be helpful as far as giving us a recommendation of where we might order them from or whatever. I know she has connections among the daffodil bulb people, or wherever she gets her bulbs. So I'm sure she'd be very helpful in that regard. So we'll just have to wait and see. As long as Mary is notified as to what we need from her, and Rob is on top of this as well in terms of getting it, whatever we need for approval to dispense those.
But how are we going to do this? Because I think we were hoping she'd be with us today, and she's not. And if we wait a whole month just to talk to her.
Well, I don't think I think once Hannah hears from Mary and Mary gives whatever recommendation or whatever she can, we've already, it's not as though we need to vote to approve this or not. I mean, the only, I think we can keep this project moving ahead unless, the sky falls in or something.
Well, the order has to be placed.
No, I understand. And that's a good point. So
But we have to get it on this Board of Selectmen. That's the step.
Oh, it's,
And it sounds
again,
like.
Alan, I'm meeting with Rob tomorrow in my weekly encroachments meeting. I will raise it with him because it's very easy to get the gift thing on the agenda for an acceptance of a gift. I'll raise it with him tomorrow morning.
excellent. Thank you. Okay, so that will keep that ball rolling. So good. Okay, anything else on the daffodils? Oh, as long as we're on Historic Colored Cemetery, I did speak with Jason Graziadei and the property supervisor at the hospital. They are going to do a concrete ramp up to the new entrance. They said it's going to be sometime in September when they have the concrete person in there to do whatever concrete work it is. And they're going to add that. So I told them that was a great idea, but better than some sort of a wooden structure that would need maintenance. So anyway, that is underway. Okay, anything else on Historic Colored Cemetery? Potential arbor. Okay, Memorial Stone at Quays. As I say, I spoke with Rob this morning, and again, he said, yes, we do have the funds available. So again, Scotty is handling whatever the pieces of paper that need to make that all happen. So that is underway.
I will be emailing Rob the proposal. It's ready to go for the start of the funding process. And Fran, I got your emails about the date that you were unsure of. And so, but we can, right up to before we engrave, we've got time to figure it all out. So that's all right. I mean, I can make the stone, and then when you're confident you have everything on there that you want, we can add it. And then if we ever had to, we can add something to the back of the stone.
There we go. Great. Good.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, those are two major cemetery improvements, I think, for Quays and Historic Colored. Okay. Anything else on Quays? No. Payments for cemetery lots. I sold 3 lots a couple of weeks ago, and the purchaser wanted to know if they could put it on their credit card. And so they contacted Hannah, we went back and forth, and we determined that if we wanted to accept a credit card, we would have to go through the process of setting up our own account. And it sounded like more work and responsibility than, so I wrote back to the people who were buying the lots and said, the quickest way to do this would be just write a check, drop it off at the DPW, which I believe they did. And so, so the question, I think, before the commission is, do we want to accept credit card payment for cemetery lots? Yes, Barbara?
No, I'm sorry, I was knitting.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Alan, can I mention a few things about Unibank
Yes.
quickly?
Yeah.
So with the program that the town uses it for credit card payments, it's called Unibank. And one thing that we have found with using it, especially at least at the DPW, is that when the payment is made, it is visible to everyone. So it really then gets a little kind of iffy with finance, because then before the commission can approve the application, there of course is sometimes can be upwards of a month in between of an application submittal. So then we have that payment, and especially in this situation where it's multiple plots, that's more than just the regular fee that you receive. So then we have a good sum of money that does really just kind of sit there, which is never the best.
Never a good idea. Yeah, I'm definitely not interested in adding another layer of complications, and I don't think we really need to. I mean, if people are, paying for a lot, they ought to be able to figure out how to get the money into their checking account.
Alan,
Convenience check.
Alan, I pay a lot of my bills through credit card. That's a very useful thing. If you use a credit card and not a debit card, you've got a lot of fraud protection. However, Hannah's point about authorizing payment and our acceptance of it suggests strongly that it's not a good idea.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think it just adds that layer of complication and delay.
There is also a fee that comes along with credit card
exactly.
for the user as well, that increases with the amount of money that is being paid.
Exactly.
So you never want to charge.
Yeah, I don't think we certainly haven't needed it in the I added up how many lots we've sold. I think it was 130. No, anyway, however many lots we've sold.
Oh.
So we definitely don't need to add that layer of complication. So.
I think it's a good idea to have in the back of the mind if another program comes up. I mean, it's definitely an easier way.
Right. Yeah. No, I understand that. If we find a better way to do it, then fine. As I said, I don't think in all the lots we've sold we've ever had an issue. Most people do it just to get the points or the whatever it is. So. Next, Pulpa Cemetery update. The only update I have is I spoke with Mo the other day. I saw him, and I also spoke with Rob. Again, I spoke with Rob this morning, and I asked about pulpus, the work, the trees we wanted to cut, and the dead stuff. And Rob said that normally that's work that they do in the winter time when they can send folks out. And that's fine. So it's on the list to get done, to clear some of that brush out at pulpus. And That's all I have. Ken, you don't have anything.
I don't, I'm waiting, it's, the issue is with Vicky Marsh, and her calendar is incredibly full. It's on a list, but it is not near the top of the list yet in terms of the letter that we need to send to our elected neighbors.
Yeah, right. Okay, and that's right. So,
What does that mean? I know it's not to the top of the list. Does that mean you have any idea of the time frame?
Don't.
And it's just a letter, right?
It's a formal letter giving them advice that they need to do something, and if they don't do something, we will do something.
yeah. Basically, yes, a threat and so on. So again, I think we've already decided that, you know, the town has already spent a ton of money as far as getting this through town meeting, you know, the approval for it, all the legal expense that we've, you know, had, Ken's expense in dealing with this and so on. So, anyway, what the threat will do, and by the way, I spoke with the attorney who represented the seller when the Hicks bought the property, and the attorney said that there is indeed in the title a note about the encroachment, that there is an encroachment on that property. So it's not unknown to the seller. It's not unknown to the seller's attorney, presumably. And so anyway, and the attorney did say that there was something, it was addressed somehow in that deed from Livingston to the Hicks. So anyway, that's, you know, people, they know about it. And we'll see what happens. Maybe they will end up moving the garage off our property, but
They might even reconsider swapping.
well, I'm not. Yeah, the thing that really irks me is that they have continued. As I say, they planted grasses clearly on our property. They planted those wonderful Andromeda bushes on our property. It, and of course, the firewood's still there. They still have a ladder back behind their garage, and you know, all that junk is, again, on our property. So essentially, I take it as they're just sort of thumbing their nose at us. So maybe this letter will at least get their attention. So, so that's the only update I have as far as Pulpus. Anything?
I
Fran?
think that we are not comfortable with the idea that there is no timeline for sending this letter.
Well, you know, again, town council is handling this, and town council is up to their eyeballs and just a ton of other stuff, all dealing with, you know, the town meeting and everything else that's gone on. So I understand this is not high on town council's list. And frankly, it's not high, I think, on the cemetery's list because we've already resigned, well, not resigned ourselves, but we've already seen that we can improve the cemetery by clearing that land down toward their property and, you know, addressing the cemetery that way. So, okay, anything else on Pulpus? Digitizing NHA and town burial records. I don't have any updated information on that. I did ask Rob to, he was going to send me the, I think the information from the one of the companies that he had worked with in the past. And so again, that's more of a longer term project in terms of, well, in terms of our priority, this is pretty important because we do want to get those records digitized. But there are other issues too that you know everybody's dealing with. So let me just put it that way. So that's the only update that I have on that. Um, oh, anything else on digitizing the records? No. Okay. Um, under old, new, and other business, the November meeting, now the next meeting is in October. The November meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, the 11th, which is Veterans Day.
Veterans Day.
Yeah, one of those. Yeah, and so the question is, do we want to meet on Veterans Day or do we want to move? The November 11th is a Wednesday, and Lee, do you know what your schedule is going into November?
I can look it up. Alan, I'm so sensitive to this Zoom going in and out. I don't want to minimize it while I go into my calendar.
Oh, no, I understand.
I'll also look at my schedule for October 14th, and I'll send you a note, and then maybe we can just agree by email when the November meeting will be. Or
Okay.
we'll have a proposal to be discussed in the October meeting.
Great. Okay. So for the other commissioners, we're talking about potentially changing from Wednesday to Thursday, either possibly next month and for November. Any immediate issues? Okay. Well, we'll handle that meeting by meeting, and we'll follow. Again, thank you for accommodating Lee's schedule. I'm glad I don't have to take minutes for these two. And by the way, thank you, Lee, for letting me use your internet connection here.
I don't think the rest of the folks know that we're only 100 feet apart.
Yeah, I know. I know. My house will be empty, I think, by my next Zoom meeting, I hope so, a week from Tuesday. So good.
I was wondering why I recognized the background. I thought your house looked awfully like mine.
Yeah. Well, I'll give you the tour next time I'm over at my house. Yeah. So great. Okay. Are there other commissioner comments? Anything else to come before the commission this afternoon? Seeing none. Hannah, do you have anything for us? Great. Okay, well, I declare we are at the end of our agenda then, and the meeting is adjourned. Thank you very
all.
much.
You guys.
See you around. See you around about the campus.
Bye.